What's up, YouTube? Onaedo here. Another video. Like, comment, subscribe. Definitely comment. I definitely want to hear what you guys are thinking about these because I kind of keep some hot topics, especially when I start talking about black race and America and how the two, like, those are definitely the subjects that I know can get under your skin or under your mind, under your thoughts, whatever. So I definitely want to hear what you guys think. I want to get that conversation going because it needs to be had. And the kind of conversations I want to bring to light are the real conversations. Talking about it from a real perspective, not just this fluffy element of civil rights or fluffy element of black votes and fluffy element of just whatever America always promotes for how black people should fight their struggle. Like, how is America or white people gonna tell black people how to fight their own struggle? The struggle they are fighting is the struggle that was started by white people. It was started by America. But now America wants to tell black people how to fight. No, we're trying to fight our way out of what you've done. So how are you going to tell us how to do that? I'm so tired of the narrative of black people who have made it, maybe the one or two that have managed to make it in this country, promotes that illusion of systemic racism doesn't exist or racism in general doesn't exist. Just because you managed to make it out of whatever poor situation you were in, great for you. That's beautiful. I love that you had that drive, that ambition, that motivation, the gift of people around you to motivate you to make it out of that situation. But just because you made it doesn't mean there's still not chaos all around. You just happen to maneuver and find the path out. But just because you found the path out doesn't mean the chaos is still not existent. One black person makes it out of the ghetto, great. That doesn't mean the ghetto is now all of a sudden not a bad place, and all the people that say the ghetto is a bad place are just being dramatic, because how can the ghetto be a bad place? After all, Pookie made it out. Great for Pookie or Tyrone or whoever that made it out. Awesome. But yo, the ghetto's still a crappy place. It's like America just enjoys telling black people that they should be better. America just loves telling black people you should know better, you should do better. Totally ignoring the fact that America is responsible for destroying the black people in this country, first of all. This isn't victim mentality, this is facts. And you have to address it. That's the problem. White people want to sweep all the freaking darkness they did. They just want to sweep it under the rug and act like, shh, don't talk about it anymore. And just point the finger at everybody that's not according to their standards. America destroyed black people in this country. That's common knowledge. Now black people have been left just whatever, have been left out here to just be however, be whatever. And then now America turns around and looks at them and say, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? After all, it can't be that bad. After all, two people made it out. This person came from your hood and he was successful. So what do you mean you can't keep up? Like, you destroy the people. Nobody wants to really address that fact. They just want to say, like, how can America be racist? After all, people can survive and people are successful here. Great for those ones. But you cannot destroy a nation of people, and great for the ones that can make it through. But now the people are left in just a dire situation, be it mentally, be it emotionally, be it physically. How do you explain all these junkies? How do you explain the crack heroin epidemic? Black people didn't make that. They weren't in a lab somewhere cooking up drugs and feeding it to themselves. No. America was cooking up drugs in a lab somewhere and then feeding it to the black communities. Now, daddy is a junkie. Mama's strung out on drugs, probably selling ass in the streets. Now your father is mentally gone. Your mother is prostituting in the streets. You're the child at home just growing up, coming up however. Because now you have no supervision, you have no love, no guidance, no strength, no wisdom being imparted into you. You just left to your own will and you grow up, and naturally, of course, because you grew up in chaos. You didn't grow up in a home. You grew up in madness, having this environment surrounded with a bunch of, and your daddy was not the only person doing drugs. This was fed to the whole community. So now your aunties, your uncles, your surrounding is this madness. Now you're a child growing up in this. How are you going to be an outstanding citizen of society? And this is your upbringing. And then now when you do something wrong and something petty, America is now going to turn and look at you and say, what's wrong with you? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Now, let's say there's a neighbor of yours who, like, man, by the grace of God, his mom didn't get hooked on this. So his mom at least was giving some kind of love, some kind of wisdom, imparting into him. So now your neighbor, thank God, was able to at least come up with something and made it out of this situation. Then instead, America looks at you talking about, well, after all, look at your neighbor over there. He made it out. So what's wrong with you? How can there be such a thing as racism? How can there be such a thing as systemic racism if that neighbor over there was able to succeed? The point is not who is able to make it in America. The point is not who and which one of us black people are able to be successful. The point is, why was the community destroyed in the first place? The point is, why was that bomb thrown in the first place in the middle of all black folks? Black people in America, how did they start? You cannot have a foundation of madness and expect the house to just be this stable building. Black people's foundation in America is like you built a house on a lake, and somehow the lake is, just staying afloat somehow, some way. But guess what? Eventually you're going to be chipping away at that house. And now when the house loses a side wall, America is there on the shore of this lake, pointing the finger, talking about, look at them. Look at their walls falling out. Like, of course the walls are falling out, dude, because you're the ones who threw them out in the middle of the lake. You the one who set up the situation they're in right now. So to say that America does not have racism because one or two black people have made it out is delusional. It's insanity. That's literally like I threw a bomb on a city. 10 people managed to survive. Great. So now because these 10 people survived, I'm no longer a bad person. Because after all, 10 people were able to handle it. The issue is not the 10 people that were able to succeed. The issue was my ass throwing a bomb in the first place to a bunch of innocent people and killed a whole bunch of people, destroyed all their property, destroyed all their city, and now 10 people survived. And now those 10, out of those 10, 8 of them are still like walking around with a limp. And 2 are the ones that managed to escape without a scratch. But now because those 2 got away without a scratch, now you're looking at those ones limping. Like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you strong enough? After all, look at those 2 over there walking without a scratch. Like, that's not the issue, dude. The issue is, why the hell did you throw the bomb on me in the first place? I'm the reason I'm walking. You're the reason I'm walking with a limp. We can't ignore that part of the story. The fact that black people are able to still be succeeding is just testament to our strength. That's it. It's testament to the fact that no matter what is given to black people, they will still succeed. They will still find a way. But that you don't get to get away with that, America. No, no, no. You don't get to not turn around. Tupac said it. America effed up when they turned around and blamed you. America messed up when they turned around and blamed you, black people in this country. Like y'all are incompetent. How are you going to be on the same level when look at your beginning? Yet black people make it to the same level and pass them. Once again, testimony to our strength. But that's not taken away from what you did, because guess what? We're not talking about the 10 that made it out. We're talking about the 100 that are still stuck, unable to make it out because they don't have the motivation. They don't have the wisdom. They don't have the love that these 10 had to make it out. Are we going to now turn around and blame them for not being as strong? Maybe they just weren't blessed to have a mom or a father or a relative or a teacher impart wisdom in them. Maybe one of these 10 that made it out got blessed in this world by having a teacher believe in them, because no one in their home believed in them, but they got blessed with this teacher that still looked at them as a human being and imparted wisdom. So that wisdom was able to carry them through and make it out of their situation. But all these 100 people that are still stuck in this situation with nobody to give them wisdom or love or attention to let them know that they are somebody and they can make it in this world. You cannot blame them for not having those people, because there's a reason they don't have those people. So to just put these few 10 on a pedestal because they made it out and try to trump the like 100 that are still stuck, like it's their fault, that's the issue. The issue is we cannot sweep what America has done to black people under the rug. Even black people want to sweep it under the rug because it's embarrassing. You don't want to walk around always feeling like you're this third-rate person. You don't want to walk around always feeling like this slavery is your story. But guess what, black people? You're the ones letting that be your story every time, because slavery is not your history. But if you keep acting like you cannot move until you get permission from white man, then you are making it your story. If you continue to act like you cannot do anything, you can't make your moves without going through the white man for a loan, without going through the white man for a permit, without begging him for a house, without begging him to rent his spot, without begging him for food, without begging him to take a lunch break, without begging him to come in 15 minutes later, without begging him for a freaking early dismissal, without like this country is just black people. Like black people in this country is just always asking white people for permission for everything. That is giving white people permission to continue to run with the narrative that they really are in charge. That gives them permission to continue to sweep it under the rug if you continue to act like you have to ask them just to move and do things. Like, I just don't want to hear that talk of racism doesn't exist in America or systemic racism. Like, I just don't want to hear that talk because what? There's 1 or 2 black people that made it out. I just like can't stand hearing it. Because just because 1 or 2 made it out does not excuse the wrong that was done. You know what? It's like, let's enslave all white people and do everything that was done to them. Let's now see how they do. If after all the things that are done to them in return, they get enslaved, they get raped, they get beaten, they get eaten. That's a whole cannibal history we'll get into on a whole different video, or Hannibal video, I should say. And they get brutalized, they get shot down in the streets, they get, I mean, their cities just plundered, they get their tongues erased, they get their history erased, they get just violated in all kinds of ways. Let's say all that, the whole package of slavery, let's say we return this to white people. They get riddled with heroin and crack, and it's fed to them, and they get turned out. And now, if after 400 years or after X amount of years, they somehow are able to be outstanding citizens of the world, and they're somehow able to be the pioneers of wisdom and the pioneers of just being solid individuals, if they're able to survive that and can come out and hold their head up high and say that, no, look at us, we are still standing. If they're able to survive that, then maybe I'll listen to the argument of America is not a racist place and there's nothing wrong with this country and there's no systemic racism and how can all this exist because after all, 10 black people have made it. Like I said, let's return to sender, and if all white people are enslaved and somehow, some way, they're able to make it to the other side of that and still be wholesome people, the whole nation, not just 10 of them. Oh, no, because they put it, they hold the standard or the bar different for black people. Black people are supposed to have gone through all the shit they've gone through in this world and still, be like quality, outstanding human beings of society. And you look at a black person for robbing somebody like, oh, shame on him. Oh, really? Really? Okay, like I said, if return to sender and all white people go through it, and now they're able to come out of it better than the situation that black people are in, then we can have that talk of, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't that America was just racist. Maybe it was that black people just should have gotten their shit together and they just weren't strong enough. And they're the reason they couldn't get over it, basically, because that's what America tells black people to do. Get over it. It happened. It's not happening anymore. You're in 2021. That happened a long time ago. You're supposed to be fine and it's not supposed to bother you. And if you even try to call it out, it's just victim mentality. Cool. Cool. Like I said, return to sender. Now, if white people go through it and they come out in a situation that they're all just flourishing, just, oh, all on top of it, you know, never getting left behind, never getting held back, never shooting up nothing, never walking around with just confused minds and sagging their pants and just the corniness that black communities have been riddled with. If white people go through the same things and come out on top, then I will have that argument that, oh, okay, well, America is not racist after all. Maybe we did just need to get over it because, wow, white people went through the same thing and they somehow got through it. Then I will understand that. But until white people have all experienced that, this country has no room to pretty much tell black people to get over it, which is what it does by saying there's no such thing as systemic racism. Knock it off.